Hey everyone, this is Techno. It's been a while since I made a video, but I did want to talk about jobs and about getting into the IT industry because I think a lot of people are kind of concerned on how do I get my first IT job, my first professional job, if let's say I'm transitioning from a completely different career field, or maybe you are somebody who just finished their 4-year degree, or maybe an associate's degree, or maybe even high school, and you want to know how do I get experience if I've never gotten professional experience in the first place? I wanted to make this video to discuss what are some things that people might think about and what are they concerned about to the point where they might not want to apply, or what makes them so hesitant to apply. The first thing that comes to mind is just not applying at all. Some people just don't want to apply for the sake of, I need to perfect my resume. I need to make sure that my resume looks the best that it can in order for me to finally get that job. And I want to tell you that there's no point in trying to perfect it. You can make it look good, you can make it look great, but don't try to be a perfectionist when you try to create your resume, because no resume is perfect. It might be ideal for some recruiters, and some recruiters might see it as a red flag. Who knows? The point is, you shouldn't focus too much time on your resume. Rather, you should spend most of your time applying, because that's the most important part when it comes to just applying to any kind of job. So to give you a little bit of background history about me, when I first started working at Starbucks, I worked there for about a year before I finally moved on to my next job. And during this time, I was trying my best to apply to different jobs, specifically in the IT industry. These were the IT help desk jobs, and this was at the time of COVID. So as you may know, during COVID, a lot of jobs started firing people. Working from home was possibly an option, but for somebody like me, it doesn't make sense to work from home, especially for somebody who's never had professional experience. So that's why I was very hesitant when it came to applying, because I just kept thinking to myself, if I never had professional experience, how would I be able to work from home? It just doesn't make sense to me. And not only that, but I always thought about my competitors. I'm going to be competing against people who have 3, 4, 5 years of experience. Basically anybody who's already had IT experience, they're willing to take a step down just so that they can get a job during COVID. And that's all I kept thinking about. And that stopped me from applying to jobs. So one thing I really wish I could have done back then was to apply regardless of what I was thinking about, because these are some limitations that I keep holding to myself. And if I keep holding to these limitations, I'm never going to get anything done. And if I just applied, the worst thing that can happen is that the recruiter will say, sorry, we're not interested. Better luck next time. And that's it. It's just a no. And you try again and move on to the next company. And you keep rinsing and repeating until you finally get that job interview, until you finally get that first job that you're looking for. There's a whole plethora of jobs out there. You could have a networking job, you could have a security job, a cybersecurity job, a database or a data center job, and it really depends on what do you actually want to do when you apply for a full-time career. In my mind, the first step is getting into the IT help desk position. Why? It's because it's easy. It's the safest route. When you apply for an IT help desk role, you're basically putting your foot in the door, and that allows you to level up. It allows you to use that job as a stepping stone for future jobs. And that's what I thought about, which is why I did it in the first place. But if I could go back in time, I wouldn't just keep myself limited to just IT help desk jobs. I would be applying to junior positions. For example, there's a junior system admin position, junior network admin position. Those kind of positions, even though they might say we need you to have 1 year or 2 years of experience, it doesn't hurt to apply. And I think when you apply, the best way to even get in is to have a solid interview. And when you have a solid interview, you're preparing for the job, you're preparing for what's to be expected. If you can sell yourself and you look great to the company, even though you don't have professional experience, if you show to them that you are a dedicated learner, you have certifications, you have projects, and you can talk about them in depth and display your knowledge, they won't care if you do or don't have professional experience. It's a bonus for sure, but it's not a requirement. And so you can use that as a way to get into your first IT help desk job or into your first X job. This is advice that I wish I had when it comes to applying to jobs. And I was very hesitant about it, but looking back at it, I had no reason to be hesitant. And if I had just kept applying, maybe I wouldn't have been limited to my first IT help desk job. Maybe I could have landed a junior position job. The next thing I want to talk about is how do you gain experience, or what can you do in the meantime to show to different companies, different recruiters, that although you might not have professional experience, you still have some sort of background as to why you're interested in that career in the first place. And the first thing that I'd like to talk about is projects. When it comes to the IT industry, you have a lot of projects that you can work on, especially home labs. I think that was like the coolest thing ever about this particular industry, because maybe for other industries, for example, like let's say if you wanted to go into the health industry and you wanted to be an x-ray technician, as an example, you wouldn't have the tools necessary to do labs per se. Whereas if you're in the IT industry, you can build your first computer, you can build your own home network. How do you build a home network? You can establish your first server and use Proxmox on it, have different kind of virtual machines, host those different machines, have high redundancy, high availability. There's so many things that you can do in a home lab, and that's just one example. I even went as far as buying my own Cisco routers and switches. It was not necessary. It did cost a lot of money. It cost about $500 for these routers and switches, but I did get a great learning experience from purchasing these equipment and performing labs on them. These are the projects that I have done in the past, and I've used those projects as a way to kind of insert that blank space inside of my resume. Because even though I didn't have professional experience, of course I still had my non-career jobs. So that was working at Starbucks, that was working as a lifeguard, and I put those inside of my resume, and below that I would also have my IT projects that I've worked on. And of course, certifications are extremely important as well. In the IT industry, if you have certifications, that most likely means that you're a great learner. You like to take the time to study for something on your own time and gain an achievement, which in this case is a certification. So that shows that you are a professional and that you understand certain concepts about that certification. With all of that being said, you've got your projects, you've got your certification. The last thing is education. So when it comes to education, of course, you might have a bachelor's degree in computer science, computer information systems. But if you have a bachelor's degree and it's completely not in the IT industry, that's also fine as well, right? You're doing a career shift. And what you want to establish is that even though this is a career shift, you want to let your recruiter, your employer, your company to know that this is a career shift, but you're still willing and open to applying to a completely different career, and that you have what it takes to apply to that new career of whatever you'd like it to be. Is it required to have an associate's degree? Is it required to have a bachelor's degree for an IT job? Short answer is no, it's not required. But for some jobs, I would say, for example, at AWS, there is a requirement to have a bachelor's degree for a cloud support associate role. Even though this is one requirement, I would say it's not the end all be all. There's still plenty of other opportunities out there that would accept you, even though you might not have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. So with that being said, I really hope that this video was able to help you out. I know that applying for jobs is very scary, and it's difficult to stay motivated when it comes to applying, because it sucks to just get a rejection and it sucks to just be ghosted. But at the end of the day, if you can keep applying, there's no reason why a recruiter, your future hiring manager, is not going to reach out to you for a chance to interview. With all of that being said, I hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you have any kind of doubts or questions when it comes to applying into the IT industry. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.